Hey everybody, welcome back to Crime Family. I am your co-host Lisa, and I'm here with my other co-host, my brother AJ. It's just gonna be us two today. Katie, once again has a sick household, so she is tending to her cute little cutie, and yeah, so it's just gonna be me and AJ today. I will be telling the story today, and it is the case of Lindsay Buziak. AJ, I don't know if you know this case. Um,
No.
Perfect. So I'll just get right into it. So, Lindsay Buziak was 24 years old, and at the beginning of what appeared to be a promising future, she was building her real estate career in Victoria, British Columbia. And by late 2007, her professional life was gaining momentum. Friends and family described her as hardworking, ambitious, and social. At the time, Lindsay was living with her boyfriend, Jason Zalo. He was a mortgage broker who also held a real estate license. And so from the outside, the couple appeared stable and professionally aligned. So the story kind of sets into motion in late January of 2008. Lindsay receives a phone call from a prospective client based in Vancouver. The caller claimed she and her husband were relocating to Victoria and were interested in purchasing a home near the city. The requirements were specific. They wanted a three-bedroom, a three-bathroom home with an additional space for a housekeeper. And then the caller then added a detail that would intrigue any real estate agent. They said they needed to purchase a home within 2 days, and they had a budget of approximately $1 million. And let me just tell you today, $1 million is not going to get you that kind of house. Despite the appeal of such a lucrative sale, Lindsay felt uneasy. She later tells her father and friends that something about the call felt strange. The client spoke English with a Spanish accent, but Lindsay suspected the accent might be fabricated. Although she could not identify a specific reason for her discomfort, she sensed that something was wrong. So, despite these concerns, though, Lindsay agreed to meet the couple for a showing on Saturday, February 2nd, 2008. So, on that day, February 2nd, 2008, Lindsay has lunch with her boyfriend Jason, and then they separate afterwards, with Lindsay heading to the showing and Jason attending to other business. Before ending their final phone conversation, Lindsay reportedly tells Jason, "I've got to go, the Mexicans are here," and this is just a phrase that she had used to describe the couple because of their accent. At approximately 5:30 p.m. on February 2nd, Lindsay meets the couple at a vacant five-bedroom, four-bath executive home listed for $964,000 in an upscale Sandwich neighborhood, which is like a little municipality of Victoria, which is on Vancouver Island. So security footage later shows Jason and a friend leaving in Jason's Range Rover at approximately 5:30 to head towards the property because he's going to meet Lindsay there. So he had to drop off some contract papers to an auto dealer shop. And so that's why they separated after lunch. And then at 5:38 p.m., Jason sent Lindsay a text message stating that he was only a few minutes away, but that message was never opened. So Jason arrives near the house at around 5:45 p.m., and he later tells police that through the frosted glass of the front door, he could see vague outlines of people inside the entryway. It looks like two people. So believing that Lindsay was still with her clients, he chose not to interrupt, and he drove out of the cul-de-sac and onto the main road to wait for her to be done. But after approximately 10 minutes with no response from Lindsay, Jason returns to the house because he knows something is wrong. So he goes up to the door, him and his friend. He goes up to the door and looks in the window, and he notices Lindsay's shoes in the foyer, which was normal for her during her showings. But the front door was unlocked, which was not normal. So at 6:05 p.m., Jason calls 911, telling the dispatcher that his girlfriend was inside the house and not responding. And then, with the help of a friend, he forced entry through a side door. So upstairs, they search through the downstairs of the house. They don't see anything. So upstairs, that's when Jason discovers Lindsay's body in a bedroom. And a second 911 call is made at 6:11 p.m. And so Lindsay is lying on her back and she's not moving. So Jason runs over to her and tries to give her CPR. But Jason says you could tell by the touch of her skin that she was gone. So Jason then says later in this Dateline episode that I watched that he was in so much shock. He remembers yelling at the police to hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, even though he also knew she was already dead. And then during that time, Jason comes to a so shocking realization that the two people he saw through the frosted glass door were probably Lindsay's killers. But those two people are long gone. So canine units were deployed right away, but there's no sign of them. They had escaped on foot. So Lindsay had been stabbed more than 40 times, primarily in the head and chest, and she was pronounced dead at the scene. There was no knife left at all, and the wounds appeared to be inflicted by one person, which is something interesting that they could tell, or they could
Yeah.
surmise.
How would they
Yeah,
know that? It's kind
yeah.
of
I
weird.
never really heard police saying that right away. Like one person did it, but that's
Like,
what they
obviously,
said.
you can tell it's the same weapon. Like, they could determine one weapon did it, but like, how do they know it was? I mean, maybe that's how they know because they know it was one weapon. So why? Like, that's probably how, unless they're like trading the weapon back and forth, but which would be weird.
Yeah. So the police canvass the neighborhood, and when they do this, they find two witnesses who provide vital information. So the witnesses say they had seen Lindsay greeting a man and a woman as they arrived at the house at around 5:30 p.m. They say Lindsay shook hands with the couple, which led police to believe that the couple were strangers to Lindsay.
You can shake hands with someone you know, but maybe that's
But
not. I mean,
they just, I guess, just by the formality of it, just there was like, oh, how are you? Like it was just, it looked like you meeting these people for the first time. That's what the witnesses said anyway. So, because this happened in a luxurious home, police thought robbery right away. But early findings ruled out robbery because, as Lindsay's purse, wallet, money, and jewelry were untouched. Sexual assault was also ruled out following an autopsy. But like I said, no murder weapon was found, and the home was professionally cleaned prior to the showing because it was a showing. So it yielded minimal forensic evidence.
but the people would still leave a DNA behind, the people who were there.
Yeah, they just said it was like because of how empty it was, it just made it harder, I guess. So Lindsay's BlackBerry reveals that at 5:41 p.m., Lindsay's phone made an outgoing phone call. Investigators believe this call was likely accidental, possibly a pocket dial made during a violent struggle. So based on this evidence, police concluded that Lindsay was murdered within the narrow 3-minute window between 5:38 and 5:41 p.m., which is insane.
Why? What happened at 5:38?
So her boyfriend is there. Her boyfriend
Oh,
texts. So at 5:38 p.m., Jason had sent Lindsay a text message saying that he's only a few minutes away. But the message was never opened. At 5:41, she made an outgoing call. But it was like a pocket dial, they think. So they're just saying, so I would think maybe 5:30 to 5:41 would be about.
yeah. Because
But
he sent the message and she didn't open it, so she could have been dead by 5:38.
yeah, I know. But they
Like, just like
they
it's weird that they're using him sending a message that she didn't open or read as evidence that like she was live at that time. But
yeah, like the witnesses saw her at 5:30 greeting the people going inside, but it could have happened at 5:31, 5:32. I don't know. But they're just saying 5:38 to 5:41, that 3-minute window is when she got murdered. One of the witnesses that they had spoke to when they canvassed the neighborhood was able to give them some descriptions, so that a composite sketch was created of only the female suspect, and she was described as white, between 35 and 40 years old, with short blonde hair, and she's wearing a very distinctive, colorful dress. It was very, very noticeable. So that's the composite sketch that gets made. And then more clues of the identity of Lindsay's killers come from, again, Lindsay's BlackBerry. So stored in her phone was the phone number of the Mexicans. That's what they say. So investigators traced that phone the killers used to contact Lindsay, and it was a prepaid burner phone purchased at a Vancouver convenience store like weeks earlier. The phone was registered under a false name, and it was activated online less than 48 hours before the murder. And after Lindsay's death, the phone was never used again. So there was surveillance tape at this store, but by the time police inquire about it, it's gone. It was probably taped over or whatever. Like it's a new, it kind of resets itself after a week or so. And since the phone is a pay-as-you-go phone, there was really no registration. You can put any name online and boom, your phone is up and running. The name the phone was registered under was Paulo Rodriguez, which they figured was a fake name. And it was under a fake address. So the address was a real address, but it was an address of a random business. So this made their movements impossible, almost impossible to trace. So Vancouver's where the first two calls to Lindsay were made based off cell phone tower data. And police say half a dozen calls were made to Lindsay, but after the murder, the cell phone was never used again. So the police are saying either the killers were very good at what they were doing or they just got lucky.
I mean, it
Um,
sounds like they were somewhat smart. I mean, they knew the steps to take to avoid, like, if you're going to the effort to, like, use it, get a burner phone, and then you're discarding that phone right away, obviously, you're being smart enough to at least do that.
yeah, yeah. So the police say the couple may or may not have known Lindsay, but they did know how to carry out a brutal murder and then cover their tracks. The thought floats around that these two people could be professionals and had someone hired them or sent them. So maybe there was more to Lindsay's life than police were aware of. So they start taking a closer look into Lindsay's personal relationships. So Jason Zalo, which is was a boyfriend at the time, he was briefly taken into custody the night of the murder and questioned extensively. Extensively, like he got, it even said on one source he was arrested, like he was like arrested that night because they found him crouched over Lindsay, covered in blood. When the police arrived, he was crouched over her, covered in blood, because he said he had tried to give her CPR. So Jason was handcuffed, taken to the station. He was questioned for hours, and he was asked to give DNA samples before being released. And while some observers noted his emotional detachment following Lindsay's death, like her dad said he never once saw him cry or even shed one tear. Her friend said the same thing, not one tear ever from him. Despite all this, physical evidence and security footage and witness testimony supported his account of what he said, and in 2009, police officially cleared him as a suspect. Jason told investigators that his relationship with Lindsay was a happy one, but turns out there was another side to that. So, in the last months of Lindsay's life, family say Lindsay was confiding in them about how she was thinking of breaking it off with Jason as soon as several real estate deals closed. So 6 weeks before Lindsay was murdered in December of '07, Lindsay goes to Calgary to visit her dad, and she tells her dad that her and Jason's relationship was not working out. She tells her dad she made a mistake, she feels horrible about it, but she can't do it anymore. So no one knows for certain whether Lindsay actually told Jason that she was unhappy in the relationship. Several of Lindsay's friends, however, support the claim that she was dissatisfied and had talked about leaving him. Not long after making these remarks about how unhappy she was with Jason, Lindsay and Jason went on a post-Christmas ski trip with Jason's family. And following that trip, friends say Lindsay appeared to soften towards Jason, and the two planned to try to make the relationship work. When Jason was questioned about Lindsay's repeated comments to friends and family about wanting to leave him, he denied there was any truth to them. He said, "No, she never said that. That's a lie. They're lying." And he stated that Lindsay never said those things, despite multiple people close to her saying she had shared those concerns with them on several occasions. And it's just like, you automatically saying they're lying is just a little, it's like, I find that a little weird. Like, you could be like, maybe she did say that, and we were like, just admit that there were problems. I find that you being so adamant, like, everybody in her life's lying except for me. It's just a little weird. I find anyway. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, what would be so wrong with saying, "Yeah, she said
Like, well,
that,"
maybe she
or
did tell her dad that she wanted to break things off with me. Like, she acted like it was so impossible.
yeah, that's weird. Because, like, obviously, if he wasn't there when she was telling her dad, so he could've been, why wouldn't he just be like, "Yeah, maybe things were a little bit a rough patch at
Maybe she
that time.
did.
She probably," yeah. Or even
Yeah,
if he
yeah,
wasn't
but
really aware, but it's like,
yeah.
"Okay,
Oh
she
well.
said that."
Okay. Yeah, but he's like, nope,
Yeah,
never happened. Never said. They never. She never said that to them.
and, like, what would also be their motivation for lying about that? Like, in his mind, like, "Oh, they're lying," but it's like, "Okay, well, why would they be lying? Do they don't like you for some reason?" I don't know. Like, it's just a weird thing for him to think that people would make up. I don't know. Like, what do they have to gain from, like, making up that?
Despite lingering suspicions about Jason's behavior, he had a strong alibi. Like, he had that friend that was with him the night of the murder, and they both broke into the house where Lindsay was found. And footprints and fingerprints on the scene supported both of their accounts. So the police feel confident that they're not lying about what happened in that house. Like, footprints and fingerprints supported what both of them were saying.
Yeah,
So,
but also, like, if they were professional people, someone could hire them. So just because you weren't physically there, you could have hired someone. Yeah.
yeah. So Lindsay's parents actually have different suspects in mind. Her father has long suspected Lindsay's boyfriend, Jason, But her mother believes Lindsay's ex-boyfriend of 5 years, Matt McDuff, could be responsible. So according to Dateline, Matt was reportedly disgusted with when Saanich police announced that Jason was no longer considered a suspect. So attention now turns to Matt, but police find no evidence linking him to the crime. He was confirmed to be nearly an hour away at the time of the murder, and he was questioned, and of course, he denied any involvement. And Jason's mother, Shirley, who was also the VMAX manager at the agency where Lindsay worked, told investigators that 24 hours before the murder, she and Lindsay went for a walk, during which Lindsay said she was afraid of Matt. Shirley was the only person interviewed who claimed Lindsay expressed fear of Matt, and given her relationship to Jason, that statement is viewed with caution. Like, of course, she's going to try to direct suspicion away from her son, who's considered a prime suspect, you know? So,
Yeah.
the,
And
yeah,
she's
the
the
whole, even,
only person that she
yeah,
ever told she
and
was
the
scared of
Dateline
Matt.
host made sure to say that, like, he's like, funny, she's the only one that we interviewed that said that she feared for
Mhm.
Matt. No one else ever said that, and of course, she's gonna
Wait, so
try to get
and Shirley is Jason's mother, right?
mother. And Jason, yeah, so Shirley tells Dateline 24 hours before the murder, Lindsay confided in her that she was afraid of Matt. But yet no one else ever Lindsay never told any of her other close friends or family about this.
And has Jason ever said that? Like, Jason never
I
told investigators that about that same story?
I don't think. I they never said it anyway. It was just
Unless
the
they did an
mother.
interview. Did they interview Jason for Dateline? Because
Yes,
like,
they did.
if Day oh, they did, okay. Because if Dateline said
Yeah.
the only one we've talked to, but maybe they just didn't talk to Jason. But they did?
But he's saying the only person that we interviewed that mentioned it. So maybe Jason didn't even mention it. Like, maybe Jason didn't even know
Mm,
because it's 24 hours before the murder, and it was just Shirley and her that were walking. So maybe Shirley never told. I don't know, but they just alluded to the fact that, of course, like,
but yeah, you'd think, like, if his you think it hit him and his mother would have the same story. Like, if they were really trying to steer it away from him, like, her mother would be saying that, and he would also be, like, confirming that. Like, "Oh, yeah, she did say that she was scared of Matt." You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be weird for him to, like, not say anything about it at all, and then for her to say it. So, like, it's weird. Which makes me think, like, maybe I don't know, maybe she did say it because I don't know. I don't know.
maybe she did. Her
But why
friends
wouldn't she
did.
tell Jason that? Like, it's weird for her to tell his mother that, but not him.
Yeah, yeah. That's what, like, it was weird, and I feel like the way Dateline, they're also alluding to the fact, like, coincidence that she's saying, my son's girlfriend was scared of her ex. Like, maybe, I don't know. I just thought it was.
Maybe Dateline, they could be biased too. Like, how the documentaries, they always try to sometimes they don't tell the full story or they show one
Yeah, and
side,
like, his
but
voice is always like, it's like,
yeah.
and funny, you know, out of all the
Yeah.
people we interviewed, it was the mother of the prime suspect that said that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, yeah, you make your own assumptions, but they're leading you to allude to something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah, but
I
it is
even like that.
weird that, like, Jason wouldn't have said anything about that.
Yeah, and it's definitely worth mentioning for sure. But it's just funny that if it came from anyone else other than Jason's mom, I think it would hold a bit more weight to me anyway. But
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Or if it, like,
Uh,
had come from her, but then also other people. Like, if it could have been, like, even if it was just one other person that wasn't her, but could confirm that she also said that to them.
so anyway, this whole thing was viewed with caution, like the grain of salt, you know. So at the time of Lindsay's death, she and Matt had been separated for more than 2 years, and both had moved on to other relationships and had not been in contact for several months. And but Matt does acknowledge that the relationship had been rocky at times, and he even says on Dateline that, like, Lindsay did hit him a few times, and he's like, "Well, did you hit her?" And he's like, "No." Like, he's like, "Oh, like, she's like 100 pounds. I'm 250. If I hit her, I would like I would hurt her very badly. I would never touch her." That's what he says in the interview. But he
Because
admits, like,
who's gonna admit to it?
right. But he's like, "No, but she hit me." So the relationship had been rocky at times, and sources say Lindsay actually contacted police about Matt on 3 different occasions, but no criminal charges were ever filed. So she did call the police on him 3 times during the relationship. So, like, oh, maybe she really was scared of him. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, that would be a reason to be scared of him. Yeah. Mm.
while Shirley maintains that Lindsay feared Matt, Lindsay's fans offer a different explanation into why Matt was on Lindsay's mind, and they say Lindsay was considering leaving Jason and possibly rekindling her relationship with Matt. So Lindsay's father, Jeff, stated that during that visit to Calgary, like I said, she told him she missed Matt deeply and she was confused about what she should do. So friends say Matt had a strong emotional hold on Lindsay. So, however, Sandwich police have stated clearly they have no evidence pointing to Matt McDuff and no reason to even consider him a suspect. So, on one hand, she's telling her friends and her family, who she's super close with, that she misses Matt, and she feels like she made a mistake. She wants to be with him again, and then Shirley's saying, actually, she's actually scared of Matt. So it's just two totally different things. You're either scared of him or you miss him, and that's why you're talking. Like, yeah. So just kind of weird.
Yeah,
So
I don't believe the mother anymore, actually.
no, right?
Yeah, when lining it up again with that, yeah, like, I was trying to be, like, open-minded, like, maybe, but also, like, it's weird. Why would she tell her
Yeah.
friends
I
one
mean,
thing
it's
and
I
then
mean, the fact that she did call the police on him 3 times and then she wants to be back, and that's a little concerning.
but, I mean, I feel like that happens a lot,
And
like,
maybe it
in
wasn't.
abusive relationships, so, like, I maybe that, but if you're scared of I don't know, like, saying you're scared of someone and then but you're also telling other people that you're ready to leave your current relationship to go back to him is very and also it's very convenient 24 hours before she was murdered. I'm scared of him. Like, that's just like, the timeline is very weird. Yeah, it wasn't, like, m months before, it was, like, 24 hours.
And apparently it was only her and Lindsay that went on that walk, and only one person can tell that story. 24 hours
Yeah,
before, it just seems a little convenient.
but, I mean, sometimes strange things happen, but a little convenient, but
If it had happened on any other day and not literally 24 hours for the murder, I would be like, "Okay, I'm gonna look into this a bit. I'm gonna hold more weight to this." I don't know. The 24-hour, it just
yeah.
and I
Or,
think
like, if at least one other person had ever said if she had ever said
mhm,
that to them as well,
yeah,
right? Like, not only is it
yes.
24 hours before the murder, but it's also she's the only person that's ever said
Yeah, yeah,
that
I'm
Lindsay
scared of
told her
my
that
I'm
told
scared
them
of
that.
Matt, who I haven't seen in months and haven't talked to in months, and who has a relationship, like, who's in a happy relationship now and hasn't bothered me at all. I'm scared of him for some reason, even though he hasn't done anything since we broke up to make me scared. You know what I mean? Like, so everyone was saying, like, they hadn't talked in months. They're both in different relationships. So it's just weird that she would all of a
Yeah.
sudden be like, "I'm scared of him."
Yeah, and I was trying to think in my mind, I'm like, could both things be true? Like, could she also be scared, but then still, because it's like if it's an abusive relationship sometimes, but I don't really know if they could I mean, I guess, but not doesn't seem I don't know. I don't think it's
Yeah.
both things are true. I think one is true or one is a lie. So I think the friends saying that she missed him is more
You
believable.
have, 8 close friends of family saying one thing, and then one person who has a stake in this saying you know what I mean? It's just, what are you gonna go with? You have to make anyway, I'd go with friends and family. That's just me, though. So, anyway,
Yeah, and
um,
the friends would have nothing to gain from telling us that she wanted to go back with him.
and, like, during the Dateline episode, like, the friends are just one friend is just she still sobs. She is so like, they wanna find out who did this. They're not gonna lead them astray and make up lies. They wanna know who did this. Like, so they're not gonna say
Yeah.
something to you know what I mean? They're gonna be
That's
true.
not someone who would want to not have suspicion on Matt by
Exactly,
saying,
like
"Oh, she was gonna leave Jason for him." Like, no, things were fine. Like, she wouldn't say that unless it was
like,
true.
they're gonna say whatever, like, they're gonna say do whatever they can to find this person and be as honest as possible so the killers are caught. So I just but it's like, you never like, maybe she really did say that though, you know what I mean? Like, you just never know.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I hate to say I hate, like, going on the record and being like, "I don't believe her."
Yeah, yeah.
Because who knows if that is the truth, but, I mean, you also have to use a little bit of, like, common sense of, like, all these other people are saying one thing who have no reason to be saying it, versus this one person who said this other thing who has a lot of reasons to say
Yeah.
that, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, definitely. So when police realize that the 2 closest men to Lindsay are clear as suspects, they have to widen the circle of suspicion. So, 2 years after Lindsay's murder, Sandwich Police grants unprecedented access to a team of experts brought in by Dateline. Like, Dateline actually contacts them, and they give Dateline all this access to all the files, and the team that Dateline comes up with, is made up of elite professionals, to look at the case. So one person One part of the person on the team was was actually a detective from the Chandra Levy case. Another expert was a retired crime scene investigator from Las Vegas who actually inspired the character on CSI. And then the third expert that works on this case is a former prosecutor who has successfully put legendary record producer Phil Spector behind bars for murder. So these are like heavy hitters, these three experts. When they sit down to discuss the case, they talk about it on Dateline. All three experts agree that Lindsay had been specifically targeted in a well-planned attack. And they note that the striking, colorful dress worn by the woman at the scene appeared to be intentional. So remember, like, two eyewitnesses said that the woman with the dress wore was very eye-catching. So the expert suggests that the dress may have been used to distract attention, since everyone could clearly describe the outfit, but very little could be said about the woman herself and the man. They just focused the dress was all they could remember. So they think that woman wore that dress on purpose. But just like
Mm,
so smart.
that's smart. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, like they
that's
like
very smart.
it was a colorful dress, but all I know about the girl, she had short blonde hair and this colorful dress. That's all they could focus on was the dress. Everything else they don't really know. So that's why they think like, okay, that was planned.
Yeah, but then on the other hand too, it does stand out more. Like if she wore something totally basic,
It was a gamble for sure to
yeah.
wear that. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it worked if like they can't remember anything
Yeah.
else about her. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, very smart. So it does sound like it's
Yeah. You
someone
don't hear that
professional.
often. You see
Yeah,
people, they're all covered up, they wear sunglasses. So this girl she wanted people to focus on that dress more than anything, it seems.
yeah. Sounds like professional or someone who, yeah, smart for sure.
Yeah, and the team also evaluates the theory that the killers might have been hired professionals. So they kind of divided on this. So one expert suggests the killers were instructed to make the attack personal and brutal, pointing to the excessive stabbing as evidence. But another expert disagrees. She argues that while the murder was undeniably violent and involved overkill, it wasn't personal. Instead, they believe it was violent. It was violent because they wanted to send a message of some sort. So, in the 18 months following Lindsay's murder, Saanich police investigated hundreds of leads and served dozens of warrants. And despite their efforts, they were no closer to identifying the suspects. What was a blonde woman between 35 and 40 years old with short hair, wearing that distinctive dress that everyone always talks about. And she spoke with a Spanish accent that Lindsay thought was fake, and she was accompanied by a well-dressed white man who was approximately 6 feet tall with dark hair. And that's all they have.
If the theory was right and like she purposely wore that dress to distract, that's a smart person. So then you're thinking, okay, they're gonna also be smart enough to disguise their voice. They're also maybe she's probably a wig. Like that's probably just a wig. So
It's probably a wig.
yeah.
Um,
So like you literally have no information about this person other than age, maybe.
yeah, yeah. And the white, they appear to be white. So the working theory that they go with for a while is that the killing was a targeted hit carried out by two people who knowingly they brought a knife to a real estate showing. So it was planned. This suggests that police may be looking for three individuals: the couple who committed the murder and the person who hired them. So investigators initially considered motives involving drugs or money, but police, along with Lindsay's friends and family, have consistently stated there's no evidence she was involved in any illegal activity. As the case remained unsolved, however, rumors began to spread. So some speculated that Lindsay was a witness in a drug case, or even they went as far to suggest that she was a police informant. And police have denied both claims. Though they acknowledged that a drug-related angle has surfaced during the investigation.
And also, I mean, the police, you're not gonna admit that someone's an informant for you. But
Yeah, were individuals in Lindsay's circle who were involved in drugs and criminal activity. So this raised the possibility that Lindsay became too close to something she wasn't meant to see or overheard something dangerous. Police also point to an incident during Lindsay's last visit with her father in Calgary, the 6 weeks before her murder. During that trip, she reconnected with at least two men she had grown up with, and they went out and all that, hung out during that visit. And then 1 month later, one of those men was arrested in what police described as the largest cocaine bust in Alberta's history, 67 kilograms worth more than $6 million. So that's you know, just worth mentioning, I guess. Investigators have considered whether someone may have wrongly blamed Lindsay or suspected her involvement in ratting them out. Police have made it clear, however, again, that Lindsay was not an informant. And while the theory of a drug cartel ordered hit does gain traction, those three experts who discussed the case on Dateline say they do not believe the murder was cartel related. So
And
now
also, and one thing I was gonna say is like you don't have to be a police informant to rat on somebody for that. Like she could have just been totally just not a police informant and just told someone she shouldn't have.
some experts were saying they don't think it was personal, but now they're leaning towards maybe it was personal. So 2 years after Lindsay's death, her mother makes a plea for information. The family initially offers a $100,000 reward, but with no arrests made, the reward was eventually withdrawn. And police admit that they still have no clear motive and no significant breakthroughs. And they've also stated they're not near close to solving the case. This is 2 years later. They have no idea. It's cold. So the unusually public nature of the investigation highlights how desperate authorities are for answers because, especially in Canada, police typically keep investigations quiet and close to the vest. So the fact that they're so vocal and they're making their like what they have public and asking for help, and it's very unusual. And so I think it just shows how desperate they really are. They have nothing to go on. All three experts ultimately agree that the person behind the murder was likely someone Lindsay knew well. But remember, witnesses saying it looks like those two people were strangers when they met outside the house. But of course, a handshake is formal no matter what said. I mean, she could have knew them maybe, but they always suspect that she didn't know the couple.
And also, if it
Uh,
was someone like if she knew them, and if she was like suspicious of them, like she wouldn't have been like, oh, shaking their hand, let's go in. Like it would have been more of a thing, right? So either it's someone she knows that like betrayed her, like someone she didn't expect to murder her, because if it's someone that she would have had a reason to like be scared of or whatever,
yeah.
she's not going to greet
So,
them like
but
she did.
maybe the thinking like the person that hired them she knew, which would make sense. I think it's obvious that like well, they don't
Yeah.
hire someone to kill a stranger, you know. Yeah. So they say it's likely someone Lindsay knew. They possibly someone in her own industry, like the real estate industry, and possibly even someone that worked at the same firm as her. They believe the couple who carried out the killing likely have criminal backgrounds, particularly involved in violent crime. And they they say while it's uncommon for a man and a woman to work together as a killing team, to work in tandem together, a male and female, the experts do not believe they were professional hitmen. So they don't believe they were professional. They because the crime appeared planned but executed with panic. Yeah.
Well, like clearly planned because you're like you said earlier, they brought a knife to a viewing, and also like they planned the showing, like they scheduled it, they called, they coordinated it, and then they brought a
And
knife to
they
that.
bought that burner phone 6
Yeah.
weeks before the murder, or 3 weeks, Like
So
this
that's
was
somebody who's trying to avoid detection
yeah,
for sure.
and planned it out well in advance, I think.
Yeah. And also, like they say, stabbing is a very personal way to commit a murder, right? Like usually if it's like a random person, it would be
And you hire a hitman, I usually think execution style gunshot or something, you know? Um,
yeah. Because if it's
but
yeah, yeah. But I mean if it was I think it was a hit. Was it a hitman or these two people weren't hitmen or weren't professional hitmen? They were just
they
maybe
just think they were
people that were
hired,
involved in some group that like this person who didn't like her was also knew these other people who agreed to do it, but they weren't. Yeah. I don't know, weird.
right? So because the house was empty, like I said, and very little was disturbed, investigators described it as a forensic nightmare. So as a result, experts believe the case will not be solved through physical evidence. They don't. There is no physical like they don't think that will be what breaks the case. They think someone coming forward either overheard conversations, a guilty conscience, loose lips. That's going to be what solves the case. Someone hearing something they should never. Someone finally wakes up one day and realizes I have to tell somebody. My conscience is eating me alive. So that's what they're hoping for. Someone's going to come forward because otherwise they don't think the worry is not going to get solved. So in the absence of arrests, many of Lindsay's friends remain too frightened to even speak publicly and go on camera at all. There was one friend that did get interviewed for Dateline. Everyone else was too scared to because no one has been arrested yet. They're still out there, so you could be next if you say anything. So in 2021, Saanich police formed a new investigative team and they began collaborating with the FBI in the US. So the police cite advancements in DNA technology and the emergence of renewed leads. And at the time, a Saanich Police Department spokesperson emphasized that individuals with knowledge of the crime likely remain in the community. So he says, "We believe people familiar with with the circumstances surrounding this case remain close by." Like, and it's such and Saanich, and it's a very very small community. It's a very small town, so they believe that the walking among you at the grocery store, at the post office, the people who did this, or the people who know. Police also have also noted that advancements in DNA analysis have helped generate new leads in the investigation. However, they have never publicly confirmed any possible motive for Lindsay Buziak's murder. So they never have once stated what they think the motive was. They probably don't know. So, for more than 16 years, Lindsay's father, Jeff Buziak, has led an annual walk for justice in her memory, both to honor his daughter and raise awareness about her unsolved murder. And he also has publicly criticized law enforcement for what he views as insufficient ongoing investigative efforts. And he has spoken candidly about the severe emotional and physical toll the case has taken on him, including the need for triple bypass heart surgery because of all the stress. He again will lead the annual Lindsay Buziak Walk for Justice for the 17th consecutive year, and he has stated that he will continue this walk every year until those responsible are found and held accountable. He's saying he's going to find out what happened to his daughter if it kills him. He will find out before he dies, and it's just a matter of when. And he believes he's going to do whatever it takes to find him, and he wants to get his hands on himself, and he is convinced he will find it out, even if he's on his deathbed. He will find out what happened. So that's kind of actually the crux of the case. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a weird one. And it's very hard too because if it is some type of organized crime or cartel or anything drug related, like no one's going to come forward. Why would you put yourself out there? I mean, yes, there's anonymous tips, but people have ways of finding out who ratted them out, right? Like you just wouldn't even want to test it. So, like, even if there's obviously there's people out there that know, besides like the people who did it obviously know, but then there's probably other people around them who know. But I think it's very very hard. Like
Yeah,
you're kind of risking your own life if you go out there and come up with information. So it's
yeah.
hard.
So what do you think? Like the boyfriend? I think like maybe the boyfriend Jason hired somebody.
No, I don't think. I mean, based on the information that you shared, um,
Hmm.
no. I mean, he's sort of been cleared, like his alibi, like, or I guess he could
Yeah,
hire someone though. But no, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's possible, but I don't have anything in my mind to make me think that other than the mother kind of saying that thing, but like maybe she's just because she doesn't anyone want to even like think it could be him or suspicious, right? They're like trying to put onto this other person.
I first thought like, oh, how convenient. Like she goes away and then he has to attend to some business, and then he comes right after. I thought that was like, oh, like perfect time. You come right after the people leave, but security footage does show him at that dealership handing over a contract for his job, like he was where he said he was going to be. So I just wonder, like, if the couple, what happened if Jason had gone with her? Like, both got out of the car and met the couple, with the couple of like maybe there'd be two dead bodies. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and I think, I mean, obviously there's no question. I don't think obviously he wasn't there. Surveillance footage shows he wasn't there, but I mean, there's other ways to be involved, not physically being there if he hired them. But I also think that part of his story where he says, "Oh, I showed up and saw people through like the foggy door and thought she was still in the middle of it and left." Like, why would you like unless there's like footage of him pulling up at that specific time and then he has to come up with a story as to why, you know what I'm saying? Why he left? Because otherwise it's like, why would you make that up? You could just say, "Oh, I showed up at the end," or like, why would he say, "Oh, I showed up initially, saw people in there and left"? Like, that's a weird thing to make up if it didn't happen.
yeah. And he said, like, I didn't want to be like a meddling boyfriend and like go up to the door and make like I just wanted to wait till she was done. So he left,
Mhm.
but her dad has criticized that, saying, why would you leave at all? Why not just wait? Like you saw, but like why not just wait in the driveway? I guess I don't know, but he missed them by seconds. The people that got away, you know what I mean? And the police said he like they disappeared on foot. I mean, no one, and the only two
But
witnesses.
yeah, but I think too, like to say why would you leave at all? Why wouldn't you sit there? It's like, it's probably just like, it can happen, like, you show up, you're like, "Oh, she's still there. I'll drive around the block." Like, I don't wanna be sitting here waiting, like, maybe if she sees you out there waiting, she'll, like, rush, right? So you're just like, I'll
Yeah.
leave, go
No,
around
like,
the block, do
she's
whatever, and
doing her
come back."
job, like, yeah, she's doing her job,
Yeah,
and she knows I'm here. I texted her. She didn't look at the message because she's busy. I'm gonna go down, get off the call with Zach, and just wait on the main road, and she'll text me when she's done. I mean,
yeah. Like, I'm not gonna say
yeah.
like, yeah, like,
He's like,
me
"I didn't wanna
sitting
seem
out
like I was."
here is
Yeah,
kind
he's like,
of
"I didn't wanna
weird.
seem like I was meddling or, like, I didn't wanna seem like I was, like, overbearing or something, so I just
Yeah, or,
gave."
like, rushing
Yeah.
her, like, "Oh, I'm
Yeah.
here, I'm waiting,"
Yeah. Yeah.
kinda thing. Like, so I think it's very normal
Yeah.
for someone
Yeah.
to do that, like,
But it's just
for
weird that, like, the police say they disappeared on foot within minutes, but yet only 2 witnesses saw that, like, she was wearing that distinct dress, right? But no one ever came forward and said, "I saw a couple with a distinct dress walking down the street." They only saw them at 5:30 shaking hands, but Lindsay and going into the house. No one saw them afterwards.
how do they know they left on foot?
I don't know, that's what I thought too, like, how do they know?
I feel like they wouldn't because if they had cadaver dogs in there or smelling, or scent dogs, like you lose the scent when they get into a car. If they
Yeah.
left on foot, you could like follow them all the way down
Yeah,
where they went.
exactly, but, like, no one there was no
You
mention of
said they
anyone
had
hearing any.
dogs, right?
Yeah, canine dogs canvassed and couldn't find them at all. I
So I
would
feel like
think,
you have to get in a car then. That's the only reason that you lose a scent.
yeah,
Like if they went down the street and walked away on foot, the dog would be sensing that.
maybe it's easy for a car to sneak out without going down the main road, you know what I mean? Because no one saw, like, Jason said never said I saw, like, a car squealing out of the, you know what I mean? I never like, a suspicious car rushing from the scene or something, so how could maybe there was a back way that the car could have gone or something, but I don't know, I don't think they left on foot.
Maybe she like changed into different clothes so she didn't have that dress when they're walking down.
But
That's
yeah,
why
it's just
she
crazy,
didn't
it was
stand out
literally
to anyone.
it's just minutes, like, he saw 2 people in the window that most likely were the killers, and then he goes down the road, and then 10 minutes later, he comes back, and they're gone, like, it's just literally he just within minutes, like, they got
And
away.
like, yeah, it's crazy. I think it's possible you could think like if she I'm kind of fascinated by, like, how smart someone would be to wear, like, a distracting
I
something
but that
distracting.
deep like, at first, when they were describing the dress, I was like, "Oh," like, and then I didn't think anything of it, it's a composite sketch, whatever, but then when the experts, like, these people are heavy, heavy crime experts, and they mention, like, "No, we believe that that was intentional," I never would have thought that. I love when I hear when expert panels have these and they do discussions about
And that's why
cases.
they're experts, yeah.
Yeah, and, like, they do ex and they were talking when they were talking about it, I'm like, "That is." I would never have caught on to that detail that that was intentional to wear that dress, you know?
Yeah, because what I was gonna say was because 'cause I'm, like, fascinated by that detail, and, like, if it's true so what I was gonna say was, if that's true that she wore this dress and made very purposely to, like, distract people from noticing other things about her, yeah, at the house, yes. But the minute you commit the crime and leave the property, that dress is a hindrance. Because it's tracking you, it's very distinctive, people will know where you are, they see you anywhere else, that's a trail. So,
Yeah,
I think it's possible she could have worn that in the moment when, so people don't notice her before
and
the
then she took
murder,
it off
but
before
then
leaving the
she
house.
yeah, and she shoves it in her
Yeah,
purse and wears something
yeah, takes the wig
totally
off.
yeah, totally nondescript, like, walking down the street that isn't recognizable. So, I think that's likely what could have happened.
That makes me think they are professional in a
That's a
sense.
professional that's a
That is
professional
that is something that a
detail.
rookie does not think of.
No, a rookie is thinking I wear a super bright, distractive dress, like, that's gonna
Yeah,
make me stand out. No one's
I'm
gonna
gonna wear
think of
all
that.
black, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
People are gonna be like,
um
people are thinking if you're a newbie, you're gonna be like, "I'm gonna go in there wearing something totally normal, nondescript that is not gonna be easily identifiable." So no one's gonna think to wear something super loud and, like, distracting. So to me, that's, like, a detail that's shows, like, professional.
And also, it's interesting, like, even the experts who have seen many cases said it's very unusual for a male and female killing team to be a thing, you know? Usually see 2 guys as
Bonnie and
hitmen
Clyde.
and yeah, and they
Yeah.
say it's very unusual. Who are these people? Like, they could be anywhere now. They could still be living in this community. It's just you never know who your neighbor is, you know what I mean? So the murder of Lindsay Buziak remains unsolved to this day. The anniversary just passed recently of this, February 2nd, 2008. So what happened, like, 20, how many years ago is that? 18?
18?
17?
Yeah, 18.
Yeah, so just past the 18-year mark. So despite renewed investigative efforts and public appeals, justice for Lindsay has yet to be achieved. Until new information emerges, her murder serves as a haunting reminder that violence can strike even in the safest communities. I will say that in 2008, Saanich only had one homicide a year. So it was like a very, when people say, "Oh, it could never happen here," literally, like, it's like cliche people say, literally that like town had averaged one murder a year back then. So it was a very small town. Things like this never happened.
Even in a small town, 1 murder a year seems like a lot. Like, could you imagine if there was, like, 1 murder in Pictou every year? Like, that seems weird. But
So it's 18 years later, and they have no idea. They have no possible suspects. They have no leads. They have no motive. They have no idea. They're in the dark still, and so that's where it stands today. Still,
that's crazy. It's kinda scary, like,
yeah.
thinking, like, you're just a real estate agent, like, going to a showing, like, never trust anyone. Now it's, like, scared to be a real estate agent ever, like, go to a showing. And that is, like, something you don't think of.
This is one very severe case, but it's just a mystery. It's another one of those cases that I go back to time and time again because, um, it's like, who did it? Like, the police are just dumbfounded. They don't even know where to start now. Like, they have no possible avenue right now. So I hope it gets solved. The dad says if it's his last thing, he's going to find out who does it. Like, that's his mission in life, and
Unless they get, like, a tip from the public
that's
that's
what
gonna,
they
like,
say. They like,
reignite it.
yeah, they said forensic evidence is not going to solve this case because there is none. It's going to be someone who has a big mouth, or someone who has a one wakes up one day with a guilty conscience. That's what's going to solve the case and nothing else. So I'm hoping someone wakes up with a heart one day, and the Spanish community is asked to remember that day, Saturday, February 2nd, 2008, and anyone with information, no matter how small, can visit the Saanich Police Investigation page or call the information line at 250-475-4356 or toll free at 1-888-980-1919. So that is the case of the murder of Lindsay Buziak,
Crazy.
right? So crazy.
Crazy. I was hoping that this where this was going was you were gonna say, recent developments." I just hate when these things go on for so long. Like, I feel so bad for the family, not knowing, is this the day that there's gonna be that tip that comes in, or
And like
am
and
I
like
never.
you live in that neighborhood and everybody you see at the store, "Did you do it? Did you this person who's in this aisle, did they kill my daughter?" You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you would go crazy with that, with the who is it. You wouldn't trust anybody, I think. I
yeah.
mean,
Unbelievable trust issues, I feel. You
yes,
have to.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Questioning everyone, like, anyone that enters into your life, like, is this.
It's just, you know, she 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 obviously was targeted. I mean, they bought a prepaid phone and then they called her specifically, her number. They obviously probably got her number from a Remax poster. We see them all the time, real estate posters on benches and stuff. So it's definitely easy to get her number. But why her?
Or,
Who did?
or the person who hired them knew the number, knew her number, knew how to reach her,
Right. But why her? Everyone was saying I mean, she had friends who did drugs, who doesn't?
especially in a small town.
Yeah, she wasn't into anything shady. She had no criminal record. She was not a violent person. She had no enemies. Why her? Then that's the question. I mean, you know, why is really why and who, obviously, but like, or was it just, yeah, why was she targeted? You
Yeah, it's
know?
like, obviously it was targeted for sure, clearly
But
planned,
yeah, and
targeted.
so but by who, you know?
So the fact that it's targeted, there has to be something in her past that people didn't know about. Something, not saying she was involved in, like, nefarious, but she knew someone who knew something, or someone told her something they shouldn't have told her. Like, there has to be something there.
Yeah.
Because why else? Unless it was the ex-boyfriend that was just pissed and whatever.
Like,
Obviously, that's just my opinion, but
getting her to a house, calling and saying you want this certain house and you need the house within 2 days, which is which is uncommon anyway, I think. And then it's such an elaborate, if you wanted to kill somebody, it's such an elaborate operation to put together to kill somebody. I don't really know. I don't think the boyfriend and the ex had that much money to hire hitmen. I mean, they could be expensive, I'm assuming. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
$100,000.
but if they're involved in drugs, like, they probably have lots of money.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Yeah,
it is sort of when you think about it, it's like a kind of an ingenious plan, like, it's a way to, like, leave less of a trail because it's easy access into a house, you don't have to break in.
exactly. And the pool of
Um,
suspects is vast. There's a unlimited supply of suspects for someone who, like, anyone could go look, you
yeah.
know? And also an empty house where there's no furniture. For some reason, I don't see how that would hinder forensics. I don't know why that would make you not leave any, but the police said that was just a nightmare. That that was an empty house.
Yeah, like, but there's still doors, there's wall I mean, if they're wearing gloves but if they're wearing gloves, then it's like the lack of furniture isn't causing the DNA. There's no DNA, it's just because 'cause they're covering it up, so, like, they're wearing gloves, so it's weird. What would it be about having an empty room, empty house that would make it somewhat harder? I don't know, but we're not experts, obviously, so what do we know? But,
The front door is locked, so they obviously got in. They went through another door. They didn't go like
uh
they probably went out a back door or something because like he must have shown up right after the killings. He saw the people in the window, and then him choosing to go down the street a bit to wait. I mean, that was a big mistake because he missed seeing who. I mean, maybe they could have escaped another way, but I don't know. He missed seeing who came out of the house.
but I feel like they probably would have gone through the back way, like, even if there wasn't someone sitting out in the driveway, like, you just would, because why would you wanna be seen coming out of the front door, possibly?
And the fact that the police think it was a 3-minute window that something happened to her, it's just they got away. They narrowly they narrowly escaped, I feel, you know? Like and they
Yeah,
disappeared minutes later, never to be seen or heard from again, you know what I mean? Like, the burner phone was never used again, and, of course, the security footage at that convenience store wasn't when they bought the phone, wasn't viable. There was nothing there, like, when they went to view it.
yeah.
Yeah, they got really lucky, they just they knew every little thing that they knew the security footage was gonna be deleted right away. They knew, you know what I mean? Like,
I
I
really
hope it
hope it's
gets solved.
solved.
Yeah, I mean, it's
You
a
never
mystery.
know. You do never know,
Yeah.
like, I think I said this in another episode recently, like, I feel like there's been sort of or maybe it's just in my algorithm because it's a true crime algorithm, but I feel like there's, like, kind of been recently sort of at least, like, 3 or 4 things that I've seen on the news where it's, like, old decades-long cold cases are getting solved,
Yeah,
like, from new evidence or new whatever.
genealogy is, like that's something they're really hoping for that will help.
But, I mean, if there's no forensic evidence, there's no forensic
Exactly.
evidence.
I mean
But, yeah, but I'm still seeing, like, I think there was, like, a couple of months ago, I saw something where it's, like, this old, like, cold case from, like, the '60s in Toronto was recently solved, but there wouldn't have been DNA back then, and they still solved
right,
it. So it is
right.
possible without forensic or even if I think it was, like, the '70s or '80s, whatever, but still, not like it's not like recently where there would be DNA evidence, it's like things from pre-DNA evidence are still getting solved, so it is
Which is
possible. You
crazy
don't
to
need
me.
that evidence, yeah,
Yeah,
which is crazy, but maybe through
yeah,
genealogy, things like that. Yeah, I don't really know how,
yeah.
like, that works, but, I mean, there's definitely ways and, like, even if it's just not even forensic, but just somebody who wakes up with a guilty
And just
conscience.
those people have been living life and no consequences and, you know,
Mhm, or maybe they are in jail now for something else.
oh, they d
We
or,
don't know.
maybe they died, he's hoping. So many things about this case stand out to a lot of people. The fact that it was a man and a woman together as a team. That's not very common, at least in the cases I know about. The dress is also something that I think will always be infamous with this case. That colorful dress. People describe it as white and black and either really bright red or pink all over it. Like a colorful pattern dress. And that's just what the first thing like the witnesses said. That dress, Much worked. And it
So
was
smart.
genius.
It's so
So
genius.
smart.
I
And
never would have thought of
I
that.
hope I don't want anyone to get ideas, any criminals to get any ideas.
Yeah.
But I mean, whatever. I mean, they will. Nothing we could do to say that. They're
I mean,
gonna
yeah. I mean, but they don't need us sitting here on a podcast to get ideas. If they're losers who are planning something, they're gonna get ideas.
but it's just like I haven't heard of that since, and I haven't heard of that before. You know what I mean? Like using
But
clothing,
it is
using
risky.
using it
It
is
is
a
risky.
risk. And
Yeah.
and I wonder. It makes me wonder if they had done it before and it worked.
It's very unique in that it's useful for that small window of time, but the minute you leave that house after the
Yeah.
crime, it's nothing but a hindrance.
Everything
So
has
you
to go
have
according
to
to everything has to
yeah,
work out. Yeah. And it's just by a stroke of luck. I can't imagine that they knew the boyfriend was gonna meet her there. And it's just by a stroke of luck that they got away before he pounded on the door. You know what I mean? Like, they couldn't account for that, but it still worked in their favor.
yeah. So
And I
it's
think
like
just
partially it's like you have to like for them, their how smart they were in like planning this out mixed with a bit of luck. It's like
and they just
what got
disappeared into
allowed
thin
them.
air
Yeah, it's
with
crazy.
police were minutes behind them, I feel, and they just disappeared. No, they don't even have an inkling of who it could be. I mean, of course, they thought the boyfriends at first, but now it's like they have, from what I know so far, maybe they're working on stuff behind the scenes, but as far the latest up, like, I think the last update was 2021 when they said new DNA, they hired the FBI from the USA and all that. There has been no other updates as who they possibly think it could be. So we'll just have to wait and see. It might never get solved, but I hope. But
Yeah, I really hope. Hope those losers are found. Even if it's like 20 years from now, I hope it's not, but
hopefully the parents find it before they pass. I just the dad for every year he travels to Victoria to do that walk. They walk from like the town hall to like the legislative building, I guess, and it's just a justice walk. But I mean, I hope, yeah, I hope they find the people who did this. And mm, I mean, I think there's three people, right? The couple and the person who hired them. They definitely were hired. I
yeah,
think so.
unless they're just sick, sadistic people who just
Like, let's just call this random. I see this real estate agent on this bench here. Let's call her and
yeah.
let's go kill her. And they didn't take anything. They didn't take like there was nothing in that house was empty, but they didn't take any of her stuff. No money. Her what money was there? Jewelry, everything was there. Nothing was taken. So they just killed for the thrill of it, I guess.
Maybe there's just sick people out there. I mean, there is sick
Oh yeah,
people out there, but
for
maybe they just
sure.
wanted the thrill of it, like
I
no
guess,
reason.
and she was just happened to be the first person they saw on a poster,
Yeah,
and looking for a house.
yeah,
It's just, yeah, very sad.
so sad.
Anyone with information, no matter how small, can visit the Saanich Police investigation page or call the information line at 250-475-4356 or toll free at 1-888-980-1919.
And we'll put that in the show notes, and we'll link the page in the show notes too for you guys. But yeah, crazy.
Yep. Yep.
Crazy case. So yeah, that does it for our coverage of the Lindsay Buziak case. We hope there's a resolution at some point. That's all you can hope for at this point. If you enjoy listening to our takes or our opinions on cases, and you like the show, you can follow us if you're not already on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just look up Crime Family Podcast on those apps, and you will find us. You can also email us if you have any feedback, any feedback on the episodes we've done or the podcast in general, or if you have any case suggestions or even theories about the cases that we've covered, you can email us crimefamilypodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, that's it for this week. And we will be back next week with a brand new case and episode. And until then, take care. Bye.